This is video number 14 where I'm going to talk about graphical representation of a network at home or a small business, and I'm going to also identifying elements which are used in creating those graphical representation. So this is typical home network where there are routers and there are Ethernet cables, the router which is going to expand and which again help us to create get more efficient internet for these two devices here, and for this Wi-Fi router, this phone here, and there is a printer and there is a laptop which is connected with this one here. So this means that like basic home network typically works with just one broadband router, but adding one more options that one more router provides more options for expanding and managing the network. So two router networks provide useful capabilities in several situations, like expanding a wired network based on one Ethernet router to include Wi-Fi capability via wireless second router. So building a subnetwork within an overall home network to limit the internet access of certain devices or to isolate their network traffic. Having a working backup unit is always a good option to have. So what are the commonly used symbols in representing elements of a network? So network diagrams are useful for mapping and connections in a computer or telecommunication network. Network diagrams can show everything from high-level networks like connectivity across cities to more granular networks like offices building network. Although there are several ways to build network diagrams like Cisco and Amazon Web Services are the most popular. So there are switches and bridges represent multiple Ethernet ports that enable the connection of multiple devices. Switch controls are also useful for representing the transfer of data over telecommunication networks. Bridge symbols connect two Ethernet networks um, into large one extended Ethernet network. Bridge symbols are especially important when diagramming networks that are separated by geography. Since bridge shapes predate switch shapes, they are hardly seen unless they refer to wireless bridges. So this is switches here, and this is bridge for general network diagram icons, and Cisco network diagram icons as like this is the bridge and this is wireless bridge, this is multi-service switch and content services switch. Routers and databases. So this is our again elements of network diagrams. So routers are the most popular network diagram symbols. The most popular network diagram symbols are router symbols. Manage traffic between devices or the networks. Routers have added functionality of facilitating a wireless access point or broadband modem, making them more useful than switches in many cases. So these are routers here. This is service general network diagram. AW has this kind of WPC router here, while Cisco, the most two famous organization or company brand that have this one. This is their router diagram, router symbol, I mean. And this is AWS diagram icons for Amazon Dynamo database. It's a simple database. And general this is their Cisco diagrams icon. So databases are useful for organizing extensive collections of data and can be symbolized in AWS and Cisco standards. So access to network and determines which database will be most useful. Database shapes can be chosen depending on needs or including operations specific external or hypermedia database shapes. We can also choose database shapes depending on other factors like kinds of machines that suppose the database, example like server cluster or the query languages used to access is like a SQL server, SQL language. These are connectors and devices. This is again a general diagram icons like Ethernet, diagnostic devices, LCD, and this is AWS connectors. And this is Cisco like laptop printer or all of this. To show the path that data travels within your network diagram, use connector shapes. The connection symbol that you use depend on the type of traffic that is being routed. Feel free to use variety of devices such as PCs, telephones to model the medium of communication of the network. Many more network diagram shapes can be found in Lucy's chart network diagram, which you can always refer in future purposes. So what are the elements of network? The elements of network includes hardware, software, or protocols. If we think of network as a road, highways, or rails, network protocols are the traffic rules. Network protocols define how two devices in the network communicate. The specification of network protocols start with the electric specification of how a networking device is connected to the infrastructure. For example, line voltage levels, carrier signals, and the designation of which line might be used for which type of signals must be all specified. Building up from there, network protocols include such specifications as a method that can be used to control congestion in the network and how applications program will communicate and exchange the data. A popular method of documenting network protocol is to use layered network architecture model. Network architectural models separate specific functions into layers which collectively form a network stack. While a protocol consists of rules that define characteristics for transporting data between network modes, layer model separates the end-to-end communication into specific functions performed within each layer. So ideally, the layers are isolated from each other. Each layer does not need to know the other layer below its functions. So all a layer needs to know is how to interact with the layer adjacent to it. You can also learn more about network layers in the topic on network layers and protocol, which you can search online. Today, TCP and IP is by far most dominant suite of network and protocols. Prior to TCP, IP, SNA was arguably the dominating protocol suite. There is some irony here because TCP and IP is the older of the two protocols. Many network in large organizations are using both of these protocol suites. As with most network protocols, both SNA and TCP/IP are layer protocol stacks. This is a geographical representation. This is graphical representation of a small business network where, as you can see here, this is a router, firewall, wireless access, which smartphone and wireless laptops can be connected, and this is internet, which has remote access to other two PCs here, and this is a small business server which runs through this one here, and this is all the desktop and computers and all the devices which are connected and which are required in every small business is here. This is again a very small, this is a second example of small businesses like a router, switches, which we discussed earlier. Like switches helps in providing this here, like all the pieces here, which is a ring in connecting all these four pieces. There is a Wi-Fi router here that connects to all these devices here. There is also a server, and there is a second switch that connects all these other devices. So this is, I believe this is a very small business. This is higher level than that. So this is a graphical representation of typical small business. And this is enterprise network where this is an example of architectural integration between VISM and FWSM module. VLAN client is on the same subnet as the outside firewall interface. No routing policy or VRF configuration is required to ensure that a VLAN client traffic in both directions goes through the firewall. In addition to integration of Cisco Unified Wireless Network at the networking layers, additional integration is provided at the management and control layers of Cisco security solutions. So integration between Cisco Unified Wireless Network and Cisco NAC appliances, Cisco IPS, Cisco CSS bars. And that's all for video number 14 this time. And please again do let me know in case there is anything which I am missing or which is not related to this topic. And that's all. Thank you for watching.